opinions, and then anyone from the town board that wishes to voice their opinion are free to do so. At this point, I'll introduce the town attorney, Amy Mealing.
Thank you, Supervisor Gromack. The board asked me to research the specific question of whether or not this issue could properly be submitted as a ballot question. My research determined that there is no legal mechanism to submit this as a question on the ballot. And while I sense that there would be some skepticism of my opinion, we did ask for an outside opinion from Wilson, Ellison, Moskowitz, Edelman, and Dicker. The gentleman who rendered that opinion, which agrees with mine, is here this evening. It is the Honorable Robert A. Spalzino. He served 8 years as a justice of the New York State Supreme Court, the last 5 of which were spent as a justice of the Appellate Division, 2nd Department. He chairs the firm's National Municipal and Public Entity Law Practice team. He's decided approximately 5,000 appeals and approximately 10,000 appellate motions and is very well versed in the law. I'd just like to point out that the Section 81 of town law, the operative language there cited by Mr. Hirsch is to vote upon or determine any question, proposition, or resolution which may lawfully be submitted pursuant to this chapter or any general or special law. The topics of eliminating the term of an elected office or changing in a term from elected to appointed one are specifically mandated to be subject to mandatory referendum, which is why they are on the ballot for this November. But I will let the Honorable Robert Spalzino give you some more information on why this matter isn't the proper subject of a referendum.
Judge, thank you. If you're more comfortable taking the microphone out, that would help.
Let me address it this way. Thank you, Ms. Mealy, Supervisor, members of the board, members of the public. The specific question I was asked to look at was whether this matter of term limits can be placed on the ballot. As one gentleman said earlier, many states have the ability to do that through a process called either initiative or referendum. Initiative being what you're talking about here, where the voters can petition to put something on the ballot. Referendum being sort of the obverse of that, which is that something voters can question or challenge on the ballot, something that the town board has done. New York does not permit that, except in very specific circumstances. And this has been clear as a matter of New York law since as early as 1916. In 1916, the New York State Court of Appeals, which is New York's highest court, decided a case called Mills against Sweeney. And the issue in that case was whether the city of Buffalo could pass an ordinance permitting the residents to put something on the ballot. And the Court of Appeals specifically said that the city council could not do that. And the reason the city council did not do that, the court reasoned, was that by specifying certain things that could be put on the ballot in that manner, the legislature had implicitly stated that other things could not be placed on the ballot in that manner. There have been several cases since then which have reached the same result. In a case called McCabe against Boris in 1926, the New York City Council tried to put, the New York City resident tried to compel the City Council to put a proposition on the ballot requiring a referendum before there could be any street railway fare increase. And the Court of Appeals said that cannot happen. The court said, the power to provide for a referendum must be found in the City Home Rule Act, citing the case I just referred to, Mills against Sweeney. Otherwise, it is unauthorized. Direct legislation in cities must always rest on some constitutional or statutory grant of power. Government, in his words, the Court of Appeals in 1926, government by representation is still the rule. Direct action by the people is the exception. More recently, in 1982, the Appellate Division of the State Supreme Court, which is the next level, the second level, held in a case called Matter of Green against the Town Board of the Town of Lawrenceburg, motion to compel a public referendum on the installation of what's called a television translator system, which was some sort of way at that time of expanding the reach of television signals, was not permitted on the ballot.
Like 3 minutes is up.
The court said,
Excuse me, Mr. Hirsch.
This is a pandered opinion.
Mr. Hirsch, you're out of order. This is a respected member of... Mr. Hirsch, you're out of order. We're answering the questions. The Honorable Judge is giving you
Not
facts.
honorable to me.
Well, Mr. Hirsch, you are out of order and disrespectful. Please.
And you avoid questions.
the court in the matter of Green said that the town or municipality may not submit a proposition to the electorate in the absence of express statutory authority permitting it to do so. Now, one of the gentlemen referred to a couple of instances where there have been matters put on the ballot and referred specifically to some statutory authority. First thing to note is that cities, there is this authority in cities to do it by petition. That authority does not apply in a town.
So what are you talking about?
The next,
Mr. Hirsch.
the other piece of this is that the provision which refers to towns, which someone mentioned earlier, Town Law Section 81, permits certain things to be put on the ballot by petition, but those are limited. They're limited to things like monuments, public buildings, airports, etc. There is one provision of that section, which was specifically cited earlier, as authority for doing what you've asked the town board to do. But I think it was misunderstood. That provision says, this is section 81, sub 1, sub D, which says that a matter can be put on the ballot to vote upon or determine any question, proposition, or resolution which may lawfully be submitted pursuant to this chapter or any general or special law. So let me go through the three words so you understand. This chapter means the town law. The town law, we're talking about section 81 and the other section that was referred to earlier, none of which talk about term limits. A general law or a special law are two kinds of laws adopted by the state legislature, not by the town board. A general law being one applicable to all municipalities or all entities, a special law being one specific to a particular municipality. There is no such general or special law here that would allow the term of this matter to be put on the ballot. And finally, there was a reference to an opinion by the Solicitor General. That question, the issue in that opinion was whether the town board could act to impose term limits. And the answer to that question is yes, but that's a very different question than whether the matter can go on the ballot. As I said earlier, the law of the state of New York is that a matter cannot go on the ballot unless state law specifically allows it. State law does not allow it with respect to term limits, and therefore it is my opinion that the town board does not have the authority to put this matter on the ballot for voter consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Hirsch, you're out of order. This is a respected member of the judiciary, respected attorney. We went through great lengths to get an opinion. We went through great pains to get an opinion for the people to get the most accurate and knowledgeable information. We've done that. I think the majority of people, wanted to hear the facts. I'm sorry you don't believe the facts. You can certainly get your own attorney. I will now, thank you, sir. I will now let any members of the town board, voice their opinion if they choose to do so. Does anybody wish to speak? They will speak themselves. Does anybody on the town board wish to speak at this time? Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Alex. Well, first of all, thank you for everybody who came out. You know, we don't usually have the room this full, and I think this is part of the participation we look for. I have a copy of the petition, I guess a blank one before we got the signatures. What I wanted to say about this one issue is we've been given an opinion, whether you respect the opinion or not, Mr. Hirsch. I, as a town board member and elected official, am going to listen to my town attorney and outside opinion, because to do otherwise would be unlawful, and you would really, I think, be upset with me if I sat up here and I acted in a way that was against a legal opinion that was given to me. And that puts the whole town at risk, including your pocketbook. So I will not do that. But what I wanted to talk about is the petition. Excuse me? Did I finish? All right. Thank you. The petition talks about only two offices. I'm not in favor of this petition as it's worded. because it only applies to town board and supervisor. I believe the concept that the public has brought forth has a lot of merit. You want to make sure that your elected officials are doing a job for you, not for the parties or whatever has been said today. I'm in total agreement. I think your concept is fine, but I think if it's a good concept, it should apply to every office. And it shouldn't just apply to the town of Clarkstown, it should apply to the county offices as well as town, state officials. So what I'm going, what's that?
I can't even get it on the ballot report.
Can I finish? Okay. So I can only act on a town issue. I'm not going to act tonight. I'm not going to make a resolution from the floor. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think it's prudent. What I would suggest that we do is schedule a workshop, not a million years from now, as soon as possible. And ask the supervisor right now that we have in our upcoming workshop, whether it be September or October, so then we could talk about this, because I would like to hear from the public about different options. I'm not happy with this one. Maybe the wording also, if you read the wording on this petition, I read it literally. The way this is worded, it's targeted at individuals on this board, and I don't think that's appropriate. I think that we could have a very fair discussion, talk at this workshop, and get more of a dialogue. We don't have it at the regular meetings, but we could do that at the workshop. So my request will be the supervisor to schedule this in September or October, when it's appropriate, when we have nothing else on our agenda, to talk about this issue. At that time, after that, if I feel appropriate, I will very possibly move this. As it's been asked, yes, it's within the power of the town board to vote a term limit upon ourselves. And at that point, I may be in position to do that, I may not be, but I want to talk about what the proposition will say. I will not ever vote for this.
You didn't hear what the people said tonight, where you...
Mr. Hoyer, this is the time when the town board gets to respond. The public portion is closed. This is the response by the town board.
That's right, there's no dialogue. That's right.
Yes, I'd like to just finish. Again, thank you for listening and thank you for being here. But if we were able to do that, then I think we can move in a positive direction. I will not again look to do this. I would have liked the public, by the way, to be able to vote for this, because this is a democracy, and I think what I've heard here, and I agree, half the people in this room, when you came up, talked about just putting it on the ballot, not necessarily being in favor of term limits. They were more in favor of the public having the right to participate in the process. And that's what a number of you talked about, and I can't agree with you more. And if it was able to do it, and my town attorney and our outside opinion said we could do it, I would absolutely have done it. Cannot do that. So I'd like to have a workshop where we can have a dialogue and talk about what the form of the proposition would be or the resolution. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak on the town board?
I would agree with the comments that have been offered by my colleague, Councilman Borelli. In this regard, I favor term limits, but I don't favor the way in which this has been done. When I was asked about this by Kim Easley from the Journal News several months ago, I offered that statement that I favor term limits, but I don't favor them when they're done in a manner in which they're targeting particular office holders or a particular group of people. And I believe that the way in which this is worded and the way in which the intent is laid out, directed solely at the town board and the supervisor, if this is a wonderful idea, as I believe it has merit, it should apply to all office holders. And I believe that it should apply to all office holders within Clarkstown, within the county of Rockland, and within the state of New York. I believe that that's something that we should, please. I diligently took notes of the 30 people that spoke. Let me form my opinion and let me offer my opinion back to you with respect. Going forward with this, I believe that we have examples throughout our own history. We have examples that we can look to. I would never, ever look at something coming and being presented to us from the floor with a group without us fully exploring what that entails and what that implies. If 6 people on a street, only 6 residents, if they were all represented at a town board meeting and came to us and said, we want a no parking sign in our street, we would not take action at that town board meeting. For you to ask us to take action and to shoot from the hip after you presented us a petition with 3,400 names is something that I'm not prepared to do as an elected representative of the people. I take that seriously. I know all of my colleagues on the town board do. I believe that we need to look at this very closely and quickly to make a determination if there's merit for this to be implemented by resolution by the town board or your elected officials. That's my point.
Anyone else?
I actually just want to, something that Councilman Coleman just said, and that we don't make these kind of decisions on we have a lot of people here tonight, and it's great, and a lot of people here for a number of issues, not just put term limits on the ballot, and we heard from concerned citizens about a number of things, and things we'll start working on. Some things you've heard answers to already that you might not have expected to hear tonight. But we also need to hear that 3,000 people, and that's an incredible feat, and everyone who knows who's involved in political parties, when you have to go out and get petitions to put your name on the ballot, you have to go out and get those signatures, and taxpayers across the town did that, and put this on the dot signatures, put this on the ballot, and that's commendable that people spent time doing that. So I do respect that and the work that was done to do it. That being said, I have concerns with the language of the way it was written. I do also believe what our attorneys were saying, and so I think that to ask the town board to act in interest that's not lawful by the advice given to us by our attorney would be egregious. So that's my personal opinion, I think a responsible opinion of the town board member. And I also want to, as pointed out, I'm the newest member of the town board. And when I ran for office, there were several people on the ballot, one including, and at the time I was running with him, but there was someone who had been on the town board for over 30 years, and he was not reelected last year. And so there are a lot of candidates, and that's part of it, but I was able to win a seat, and no one thought, or most people didn't think that would happen. So I'm not here touting that, but I'm saying if you're so interested in the future of this town, you think you could do a better job, then run for the town board. Go collect the petitions and have your name on that ballot. And so that's kind of my message going forward, because I think, it is great to see so many people here. I wish there were so many people that wanted to get involved in different committees and commissions and boards and came to some of those meetings as well.
I just want to say that, first of all, I appreciate your point of view on the issue of term limits and the hard work that was required to obtain all the signatures. And while I, understand that 3,400 signatures is a lot of signatures, we're a town of 85,000 people and over 50,000 voters. So this is a very complicated issue. I've looked at some of it myself. I know there are a number of states that have passed term limits, and then they reverse themselves on it for a number of reasons. One of the reasons that some of the states that passed term limits reversed themselves was they found that they were just wiping out institutional memory that was there with people who were there for a long time, and that there was a huge learning curve for people to get up to snuff about what government was about and what they had to know. And by the time they finally learned and had a handle on and developed connections to get things done, they had to leave office. So there are a number of, there are pros and cons on this issue. And I think what I would like to see is to have this issue studied further. I'd like to see it done in a more thoughtful way, and we obviously, I agree with Mr. Borelli, I agree with the judge's opinion that we can't put it on the ballot. And I think what we should do is have a committee after the election that's set up, and we put people who are for and against on that committee and do the necessary research that we have to do and have them report back to the town board. So I thank you for your input tonight, and we'll all take it under advisement. Thank you for your
Close by saying, I certainly want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I know it takes time out of your busy schedule. I also want to thank the residents who
took the time to canvass and get these signatures to voice an opinion and to give us some feedback. I also think it was very important to hear from an impartial individual, member of the court, a respected jurist, and a person that has expertise in this. And I would ask the judge if he'd stick around for a few minutes after the meeting in case you have some individual questions, because I think it is very clear in New York State, it is black and white, and I understand it can be confusing when California can put hundreds of things on the ballot and other states do it differently, but New York is certainly a state that has its own constitution. And I can also tell you that this is an issue that should be aired, but I believe it should be aired so all the people of New York State can have their say. And Governor Cuomo has indicated that he thinks it is time to have a state constitutional convention, and lots of things should be aired in that state constitutional convention. Things like the payroll law, binding arbitration, powers of union, a host of other things, including term limits. And I think certainly the governor is going to push for that. I think that is certainly the best avenue. I think that is certainly the best approach to view this when we can look at a number of antiquated laws in New York State and have the state legislature put the question of a constitutional convention that will examine all of these things. And the governor, I think, has been very progressive in what he's done so far, and the indications are that he will be pushing for a constitutional convention, which this will certainly be one of the discussion points on a host of laws that need to be reviewed. My personal view has always been that, I know it's trite to say, but I do believe that not only every election is there, every November is there an election, I view every day, for me, there is an election. I view every day I'm meeting people, they're making decisions on the job that I do. They've got to make a decision if they like what I did on any particular day. And certainly election day is a day that we all can make a vote. The only other thing I'd say is, for some, I think you feel the word public service is a dirty word, that public service is demeaning, that individuals that get involved in public service should be individuals that don't have a chance to succeed and move up after 20, 25 years of service. For those that are in civil service or our police, these people got involved in public service because they're like you. They want to serve our public. They want to give the very finest service they can to their community. Whether you're a dedicated law enforcement official that goes out there every day and puts your life on the line to protect their fellow citizens, or if you're a highway department that gets up at 2 in the morning to clean the roads so that when we wake up, we can get to work and travel our town or travel our county or state, or whether it's the sewer department that gets called out in the middle of the night to fix a broken sewer main, or whether it's a recreation department person working on a Saturday and Sunday keeping our community centers open or our pools open so that we can enjoy all the things that we want out of our quality of life. That's the noble part of public service. And they certainly have certain protections. And I know it gets frustrating for residents when we talk about contract negotiations and why can't we do certain things. But we're also not a dictatorship. We're a state of laws. And certainly laws that are enacted don't mean that they need to be there for life, but they need to be debated, reviewed, and updated. But also, when it comes to elected officials, that too is a choice. Many of us that serve as elected officials had a choice. We could have gone into some kind of private sector, or we had a different calling. And for me, my calling was public service. My calling was to be in the county legislature, then to move on to the state assembly, and then come back here and be your supervisor. Every day that I wake up, I try to do the very best job I can. I check politics at the door. My job is to try and provide the very best service for the people of Clarkstown. And every November, people get to make a choice. And yes, the political parties have a role in that, but as was said earlier, get involved, be part of a party, whatever party you want, so that you have more of a say in what goes on. But at the end of the day, this is certainly an issue that I know many of you feel passionate about, and I do also. I believe that my service to this town is important. I can remember many good public servants that had many distinguished careers. People like Congressman Ben Gilman, people like the late Senator Tom Morahan, the Honorable Ken Zabrowski Sr., who was involved for many years in public service, and his son became a New York State Assemblyman. He's an attorney, but he wanted to give back to his community, and he is now serving in the state legislature. So there are many fine examples of people that made a choice that want to serve their community. They should be commended for that. But if you don't feel those individuals are doing the job that you want, whether it's the governor of the state of New York, whether it is the county executive, whether it is a judge, whether it is a mayor, a village trustee, a town board member, or even your local supervisor, it is your right to vote them out of office. And that has happened many times, and even presidents. It was quoted earlier that if it's good enough for the president, it should be good enough for the town board. Out of 44 presidents that have served our country, I believe over 22 of them only served one term in office. People made a choice. And yes, 4 presidents, I think, died in office. But out of 44, over 20 individuals did not serve a second term. And recent memory goes back to Jimmy Carter, Gerald Ford, and George Bush. With that, I do want to thank you for the courtesies that you've extended to your fellow neighbors, the town board, your compassion. This is an issue that we will continue to review, and it's an issue that I think we need to write the governor about and ask that it also have a wider viewing, a wider area, because that, I think, is where it will make the most sense to make change in this New York State on this issue. If the people of New York State want it to happen, let it happen through a constitutional convention where there will be other issues that need to be reviewed and updated. With that, again, I want to thank you for your courtesies tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. By Stephanie Hauser, seconded by Mr. Holman. All those in favor say aye.